Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here again after this morning presentation. So yes, I work for Omdia, part of the group Informatech. So we do lots of numbers, data, statistics, consultancy. So I'm going to go now super quick in 5 minutes around the world. If you want the data, I will be happy to send you the deck. This is my email, mariaruaguete@omdia.com. As we start saying in the beginning, yes, global media revenue will surpass $1 trillion in 2027. The biggest part of that $1 trillion will come from online video. Online video includes revenues for video from Facebook, TikTok, Sky, public service broadcasters, everything video related, pay or free, is included in this 42%. But as you can see, from 2017 to 2027, everything is moving from traditional TV, traditional free pay, traditional broadcasters to the online world. The other sectors, games, music, cinema, will remain very similar to what they were in 2027. Obviously, they will grow because the pie is getting bigger and bigger. But cinema, music will still be 4%, and games almost as important as pay TV, 18% of the revenues. That's why many media companies, video companies, are also partnering with games companies. So around the world, online subscriptions already overtook pay TV. This happened in 2020 with more than 1.1 billion subscriptions to online video, online streaming exceeding pay TV. In 2027, this will be 2 billion. But this is 2,000 million. Eastern Europe is very different. Here, the situation is very different. Although online is growing really fast, this is fresh new data updated just today, so nobody has seen these numbers before. But you can see here that even in 2027, pay TV, traditional pay TV operators will reach 86 million subscriptions versus 49 million online video. So yes, Netflix is growing, yes, lots of spots are coming, but pay TV will still be stronger. Why? Cord cutting is not so massive in this region because the ARPUs of online and the ARPUs of pay TV are very similar. And with pay TV, you have triple play, you have connectivity, you have telephony, you have mobile. So in this region, again, pay TV will still in 2027 be more important than online. And here you can see all the revenues coming from pay TV, from online video. The revenues from online will be 3.2 billion compared to pay TV, 9 billion in 2027. Let's go back again to the whole world. Today, 2022, we will end this year in the world where pay TV will still be really important, the main source of revenue. Sky, Comcast, and all these players will generate more revenue than traditional TV advertising and all the Netflixes of the world and even advertising. In 5 years, very different. All the growth, all the revenues will come from advertising, online digital advertising. Look, the huge growth, 75%, 331 billion revenues in advertising. Quite shocking numbers. Double or triple the revenues of SVOD almost. That's why everyone, including Netflix, they now want to launch advertising because the revenues, the potential of growth is huge. It would be stupid not to take part of that pie. But what is also very interesting is of that 331 billion, there are 3 companies, YouTube, Google, Meta, Facebook, and TikTok. These 3 will have more than 60% of that pie. Again, Eastern Europe, very different story. Even in 2027, pay TV will be strong. The growth is not that huge, but will be still the advertising in traditional TV, the pay TV subscription will still be more important than online. Although, of course, online is growing really fast. 63% growth in online video advertising, the fastest growth area, and very big growth in online video subscription. And as I was saying, very shocking story when we say that of all the advertising revenues in 2027, 37% will come from just one company, TikTok. TikTok International and TikTok China, in pink, Douyin. Where is Netflix? 2%. Tiny. It's huge, 7 billion in revenues, but compared to these giants, it will be tiny, 2% of the advertising pie. I have 1 minute to finish the rest of the deck. So linear TV, very important. People like to watch linear TV, hence the importance of fast channels. But 17% of people love watching videos in social media. So you need to be in social media if you want to attract young audiences. People spend in the US more than half an hour a day watching videos in TikTok. TikTok overtook already so quickly every single other social media platform in the US, and it's happening in Eastern Europe as well. It's going really fast. The future is hybrid, and yes, I'm going to be super fast now. It's hybrid because everyone wants to launch advertising. Pink, that is the free advertising services, are very popular. Then we have companies like Roku, like Samsung. They're also aggregators of channels. They're offering lots of free, fast channels. And as I said, Netflix will generate 7 billion in ad revenues in 2027. 66% of people will want to have that ad tier. Although some reviews of people that they're having already the advertising tier, they're complaining that they are not really enjoying it. So let's see if we have to update these numbers again. All the big studios are launching hybrid. So my prediction is in 2027, there will not be pure SVODs. Everyone, in one way or another, will have advertising, or introducing adverts, or creating fast channels with content they have in the library that they're not using anymore. And to finalize in 10 seconds, original production, really important. Netflix is investing a lot all around the world, buying production companies, because the studios are pulling out from them, so they have to invest in their own production companies. It's very important documentaries now. I mean, we all saw the growth in drama, but documentaries now is a hot topic. Everyone wants to see the biography of a person, the life of Harry and Meghan, documentaries about whatever. So documentaries are genre growing for every single streamer. And in terms of local content, where are the top countries? For Netflix, top countries are South Korea, UK, Spain, Japan, and India. They're increasing the number of originals coming from those countries. Thank you very much. It was very fast, but now we'll have a discussion. I want to introduce to the stage someone who knows a lot about trends in Europe. He's the head of Sky EU office, European Affairs Director for Sky, also the president of the VOD Coalition in Europe. Please welcome to the stage Daniel Friedlander. Daniel, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And you have many hats.
Many hats.
Explain how many hats you have here and what you are doing in all your roles around Sky in this VOD Coalition.
Sure.
Explain a bit your role.
First of all, it was a really interesting presentation, and I think a lot of the trends are probably very, very accurate, but also I'm hoping that we can show that both pay TV and streaming can continue to grow a little bit better than maybe you're predicting as well, and I think it's very important. The reality is that the content sector has been competing against these massive other sectors that don't have the investment costs in content that we have, and whether it's pay TV, streaming, linear, public broadcasters, it's been challenging for quite a while, but I think our sector has actually, the entire sector has actually done quite well despite it. Even a few years ago, there were predictions of, complete cord cutting, no pay TV, only streaming. That hasn't happened either. And so, as Sky, we've sort of embraced this, and we're sort of almost platform agnostic. It's always just about looking at the best way to reach as many customers as possible in any form, price point that they're interested in. And so, what I do is I run our office in Brussels, which is a very political office, because what we've also seen is this growing intersection between business and politics, where the things that happen on the policy side, government decisions, has a huge impact on our sector, on how we're able to do business, on how we're able to do co-productions, on how we're able to survive. And remember often that governments look at the sector not how it will be, but how it is or was. And because we have such a big and powerful role in politicians' lives, so Sky also has a news service, and that plays a role for us, just as many others do. They look at the situation today and they think, oh, these companies are big, they're powerful, they have people's eyeballs. We need to focus on them. And obviously there was a streaming and a production boom, so they think, oh, there's money that we can take from this sector also to redistribute. Whereas we've seen time and again that when it comes to the really big social media companies, governments have been a lot more hesitant and slow to regulate them, to go after sort of changing their business models. So I work on that for Sky, and I do also want to talk a little bit about production and Sky Studios. I should just mention before I forget, obviously we have a partnership coming to the region now between Sky, NBC Universal, and Paramount. It launches next week in the region called Sky Showtime. So we're very excited about that. Hopefully we can really boost up some of the Eastern European numbers on streaming there, and it's going to be very exciting. And if you want to know more, or if you want to talk or be put in touch with the team there, about local partnerships, I will be here after to talk. What I also do...
it's because you are doing so many things to make sure that people understand. So number one thing you are doing.
Yes.
Sky, as a distributor, you are in the UK, Italy, Ireland, Germany, Austria, Switzerland. You have satellite and streaming services.
Well, and not only that, but what we also do is we have a media sales house, because we also want to be in the ad market, because it's very important also to be able to control a little bit and have that space. Yes. We're also an internet service provider, a mobile phone operator. We're doing quadruple play. We're doing business internet. In the UK, we've just announced that we're starting to launch other products in the home. We've also created, and I mean really created, our own smart television. It's not a connected television, it's a smart television. And it's probably unlike anything else that you've seen. It's not like the Samsungs or the LGs, and we've actually made it ourselves on the hardware and software side. And it actually is very relevant for what you presented, because
Sky Glass.
The Sky Glass, which we're also, by the way, looking to partner and to license in other countries, because it's something that we think should be interesting to anyone who wants to pull together the different strands of the content, entertainment, and technology sectors. And what it does is it does this amazing aggregation of partnerships, so that the consumer has a very different access to all their content, all their subscriptions, public service content, all in one place. And it's really, we think, a fascinating way, also now in times where times are difficult, to pull everything together for the lowest price and the easiest use for the consumer, so that they actually stay with
So let's focus on
our
that.
content.
Let's focus on one point at a time. Sky Glass, and then we'll go to other topics. Sky Glass, very popular in the countries where you operate, but it's not exclusive to UK, Ireland. People here in Eastern Europe can have access to that Sky Glass technology. You can help them with that Sky Glass. So if anyone is interested, they can also apply to have that smart TV, the technology behind it.
I can put you in touch basically with the Sky Glass partnerships team, who are doing just that. We've already licensed the TV to partners in a few countries, and it really is a fascinating product that will help, I think, push back against some of those trends in a very positive, pro-consumer way.
Topic 2, Sky Studios.
Yes.
Not only you produce for your own company, Sky, you are also very open to co-productions. Someone yesterday said here, England is a very bad country to collaborate in co-productions. I don't know if it's true, but you are saying that you are very happy to co-produce with countries here in Eastern Europe, including Croatia, Bulgaria, and others.
Yes.
So what are you after in co-productions?
Yes. So, I mean, Sky Studios is the production arm of Sky. We're in the final stages of finishing building a brand new studio with, I can never remember if it's 13 or 23 sound stages, but it's huge. It's the most environmentally friendly studio that's ever been built. We're basically looking, well, it's already been booked, I think, for the next 5 years, but we're looking to do more. We are a really interesting model for productions and co-productions, because we have the scale in Europe, and I think we have a scale that a Europe-based company, I don't think anyone else has it, where we can either fully fund, we can deficit fund, we can co-produce, We have a very flexible approach to the licensing agreements. It's really case by case. So we've done co-productions with other streamers. We've done co-productions with national pay TV. We've done co-productions with
public service broadcasters.
Obviously, the big one is Babylon Berlin, which is a great example that has traveled the world. And the focus of Sky Studios is both sort of content that travels, but then very much also, really local, national, high-quality content. I think we've worked with hundreds of different independent producers in the past few years. We had 200 original productions, I think, last year. So it's a huge amount of content, of investment. But what's quite different from some of the other really big companies is that it's not a one-size-fits-all investment model, also in terms of rights. It's very, very flexible, adaptable, and whether it's just we have examples where it was a conversation with a rapper in Italy that led to a whole really interesting show in Italy called Blocco, and it won. We have huge shows coming, small shows, and each model is very, very different. And so that's why I would urge you again, if you have some ideas, I can put you in touch with the production teams.
Perfect.
We're filming across Europe and with different focuses. And just to say also on documentaries, you're absolutely right. I think documentaries is such a fascinating area. And what we've also seen is that documentaries lead to massive interest in then fiction or even live sports, because we do a lot of live sports linked to that. And we've invested and bought lots of documentary companies because we see those two strategies as being completely synced up. And whether that's on the pay TV side or on the streaming side.
Fantastic. So we are clear about Sky Glass, Sky Studios. You want to work with all these people. Now, super hot topic that I didn't know about this. You are the president of the VOD Coalition. What is this VOD Coalition? When it was launched? What do you do there?
Yes.
Who are the members?
Absolutely. So that's one of the main reasons that I wanted to be here today on behalf of the Video On Demand Coalition. And we're officially only about a year old. Pickbox and Sanya, if she's in the room, we're one of the founding members. And it regroups quite a few companies. I think we're 14 or 15 right now. We're hoping to get to 20 in the next few months. And the idea is that you need a body that actually represents the streaming sector in Europe, because, as we saw from the figures, there's a lot of political pressure on the streaming sector, trying to take money away, trying to put in new rules that will actually limit the ability of the sector to compete, to grow. In worst case scenarios, it could make that graph trend even worse against the creative sector. And so the VOD Coalition brings together the global, regional, local, national players to focus on defending the interests of the sector. And I'm fortunate enough to be the first chair. And I'm here today because there are a few really interesting political things going on in Europe that I think we all should care about. And obviously, a lot of you are focused on making content, selling, distributing it. You may not be as aware, but these are very relevant to your business.
Correct. And before we go into those political trends, just to be clear about this VOD Coalition, you said it launched 1 year ago?
About a year ago, yes.
Anyone here can be a member. Anyone who has a streaming service, it can be a public broadcaster, it can be a pure digital streaming service. Everyone can be a member of this coalition. So
right now the members are either the content creators or distributors who have a pure streaming service that isn't sort of cross-subsidized by some other sector. So it really has to be that your main goal is either the production or distribution of a privately funded content, so far at least. It's really interesting, and the interests are very aligned. And I mean, I can talk about the hot topics because I think they're relevant. But yes, if you are interested, I would love to talk to you more, because we're hoping to find as many national or regional players as possible. Because, well, first of all, it doesn't cost very much to be a member, which is good, and it's really about sharing the information, supporting each other, and figuring out from those who have the resources to follow where the threats lie so that we can protect against it. Because it's very clear, we all have the same interest, that's a strong, healthy, supported production and distribution sector in Europe where we all grow together. And our worry with some of the political trends is that there's a lot of pushback.
Correct. And now I want to enter in
Yes.
the whole world of political
Yes.
trends, issues, chaos, challenges.
Yes,
We all know, I am a Spanish person living in the UK.
yes.
Something a bit terrible for me happened. Brexit, and for the whole world, even for the UK, even some people admit it or not.
Definitely for the UK.
So as a result of this drama, Brexit,
Yes,
now many countries
Yes.
do not want to consider British content as European content.
Yes.
Therefore, if the definitions change,
Yes.
if British content is not European, they may happen to, the
Yes.
same will happen to other content like Ukraine, Russia, and other.
Yes.
This will have consequences. Explain that. Can
Sure.
that happen, Daniel?
Unfortunately, there's a chance that it will happen. So yes, so there's been the natural counter-reaction to Brexit from a lot of disappointed countries, which is understandable. And the counter-reaction is, well, if the UK wants to leave Europe, why should UK content be considered EU content for all the quotas that the services obviously have to have, whether you're linear, VOD, in a lot of countries. And right now we have two different debates on this going on at the European level. One is about the quotas themselves, and we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
And then the other is what qualifies. And right now, just yesterday, I saw a questionnaire that was sent from the European Commission to all the countries, asking them to list out all the countries and the content that aren't EU, because they want to review what counts as European content. And for us, that's obviously a very dangerous topic, because once you start removing countries, yes, it's UK content, but it's Serbian content, it's Turkish content, it's possibly Norwegian content, it's Swiss content, Ukrainian content, and you enter a very unfortunate protectionist situation at a time where we should really be bringing people together. But on top of that, on the business side, how can you plan for your productions, your buying, your selling, your co-productions, if you're not sure if working with that partner will mean that you can stay part of European content or not? So we think that at a time when the sector needs stability and increased cooperation, doing this is very dangerous. The reality is that next year, there's likely to be a very big public political push and debate to change these definitions. And that's also why, from the VOD Coalition, I'm here to say we need to work together to protect against this, because in this region, it will be particularly negatively impacting all of your work and all of our work.
But do you think, Daniel, because you are very involved in this, you live in Brussels, I know countries like France, Spain, Germany were very upset about Britain and that can affect other countries. What are the chances that this will happen, that all this content will not be considered European? You said this will be, the result will come next year. What are the chances that they will say, yes, we do not consider British content European anymore? What are the chances of that happening?
So the chances that it will be proposed are almost certain. And that's where the sector can come together to push back. So in the past, there have also been other proposals, for example, to undermine national copyright rules and to get rid of national copyright, where the sector has come together, has pushed back, and has survived and kept the stability and the national financing systems that we have. It will be proposed. Now, it'll either be next year or in 2 years, because obviously politics works slowly. But they have started a process, and there's a huge amount of...
starting by France, I think.
It started by France and a few other countries. And I understand why. And they also probably see it from the point of view of, if we change these rules, people will need more content maybe from us. Maybe people will be forced to go produce with us. But that's obviously not how it works. And that's not how your companies or ours would adapt. And I only see, personally, I only see this as a negative, where we'll fracture relationships, production relationships, plans further. So that's why my message today really, from the VOD side, but also personally, is if we come together, we can push back at this. I don't actually think it benefits anyone. Anything that weakens our production community, our cooperation, our co-productions, at a time of that much uncertainty, is a negative. So, and there are other threats at the same time. Obviously, I think we all face a huge amount of piracy. I was just looking at some of the numbers as well for Eastern Europe, and the numbers remain really, really bad. So on the one hand, you have pressure to weaken our sector on the European works. On the other hand, piracy still remains a problem, and we've been working across all sectors in our little world to push, and the European Commission has now come up with a plan to try to tackle a little bit more on piracy, and that's also where my plea to you is, if we can talk about it a bit later, we need some ideas on things that might work in your countries in Eastern Europe, because we have some of the ideas we have from our side, but to put together a proper pan-European plan right now to actually help, we need a lot more cooperation and more ideas than we've had before.
Who should be driving this fight against piracy? Do you think that the governments are not doing as much as they should?
So a few governments have.
Which are good governments, which are bad?
So good governments, I'd say the Italian government, the previous Italian government was trying. The Spanish government tried quite a bit, but not enough. The French government has some very interesting ideas, but we're not sure yet if they'll work or not. Actually, I hate to say it, but the UK government had a great idea several governments ago, pre-Brexit.
Okay.
There haven't been that many good ideas recently.
Exactly, that's why I was wondering who has a good idea now.
But a lot of the Eastern European countries have actually been the ones quite actively blocking some of these things.
So that in the notice side, in the bad side, we have the governments here.
I wouldn't say the bad side, but certainly not supportive enough.
Not supporting enough
that's
the
right.
fight against piracy.
Yes, and again, that's why if we can come together more, there is an opportunity now to do something a little bit positive for everyone.
And this is part of the VOD Coalition
and
goals.
Also, the VOD Coalition is working on piracy. And then there are a few other things that I also want to flag, and one of them is, again, this tendency from governments to look at our sector and think, oh, you're doing well, you're growing, you have a lot of revenue, let's put some additional taxes on you, right? And that's at the same time where the big social media platforms are still not really paying that many taxes. So, you know, this week we were all looking again at Denmark, which in the past was such an amazing, wonderful example of a thriving production country, community, investment going in, and there was quite a bit, I don't want to get into the detail because it can be controversial, but there was quite a bit of a controversy over what Create Denmark did recently, and then linked to what the previous government tried to do, proposing a tax, really, on streamers. And from what I've seen now is really a lot of the investment in the Danish production community has dried up because companies are not willing or able to commit to something when you have the threat of a flat, basically 6% tax on all your revenue just coming in with realistically very little way to benefit. And so, again, one of the things that the VOD Coalition is doing and where we very much want to work with you is to try to push back against these things, because it's very clear that our sector will only do well if we are investing and producing and making local content. And that's key. And all the companies in the VOD Coalition, and probably all the other companies too, and private broadcasters, public, we all thrive and do well by investing in local content. But if you're just paying blanket taxes, where's that money going to come from, right? It's going to come from your budgets. And so I think that is a negative story for all of us. So again, we're working to try to push back, because what's happening in Denmark is just not healthy for any of us. And we very much would urge, if there are situations like this coming up in other countries, that we can work together, that we can push back, we can find a positive way to contribute rather than just a negative way that actually limits people going into countries. We've seen that too often.
And similar to the issue with taxes in different countries is also the one that we keep talking about, network fees.
Yes.
So many telcos are saying why we should see Netflix and all these streamers growing
That's
so
right.
fast. They're using our connectivity. They should pay us for using
That's right.
the connectivity.
That's
so you
right.
said Sky is a triple play, you offer connectivity, you offer everything, quad play.
Yes.
So what is your view about these network fees? Should Netflix and others pay for using
Yes, so I mean, this is actually a really big one for anyone in the distribution business. Obviously, it has a particular impact on you if you have live sports, because live sports are very bandwidth heavy. But what we've seen is that a lot of the telecom incumbents, so the biggest telco companies, are suggesting now creating a tax basically a tax on success, where if you do well, lots of people are using your service, lots of people are watching your content, you're using lots of their bandwidth, then you should pay them. Why? It's a very good question, because consumers are already taking subscriptions to view the content. So the VOD Coalition, again, has come together on this because we don't think that there's any rationale for creating a new cost for streamers. And obviously, if you have a new cost that you're having to pay in, who is going to actually pay for that? Is that going to be passed down to the consumer? And then obviously all of us also use cloud services. If the cloud services are taxed based on the content that you put there, or your content distribution networks are taxed, again, those fees come down to you, come down to your consumers. So we think that this is another very big threat, and I spoke at an event in Riga a few weeks ago on behalf of the VOD Coalition, and there too, it was very clear in the Baltics that some of the telecom companies there saw it as a great opportunity. Basically, anyone with even the smallest bit of bandwidth use in those countries should then pay them. It's almost free money for them, but we see that as a very negative thing for both the development of our sector and for consumer pricing at a time when, we need to be really focused on giving the best consumer value.
So we talk about all these political issues, the definition of what is European content, piracy, taxes, network fees. I talk a lot about TikTok in my presentation, about social media.
Yes.
People now spend more time or the same time watching videos in TikTok, for example, than watching Netflix. In your view, how important is social media for you? Is TikTok a friend, is an enemy, is a partner? What is your view about social media today? Because today is user-generated content, but TikTok wants to move into premium content as well.
Well, I mean, this is just a personal view, but we've seen other social media companies try to move into premium content, try to produce their own content. The biggest companies in the world. As far as I know, they've all pulled out each time when they try because their business models are not built on investing in content. There are very few people who can make that work. It's such a risky business, I think we have the next panel that's going to talk about that as well. It is not easy, and these big companies...
But they seem to have a lot of money, as we saw in the numbers.
Yes, and if you look at...
Lots of billions of dollars.
If you look at all the different announcements over the years from, now Meta and YouTube about all their originals and their investment, have you seen any of that? Because I haven't. It's a really interesting question if someone can actually crack it, but even the really big companies that have gone into content have gone into content more following the models that our companies have done. Even Amazon, which is a bit different, they're trying to replicate a lot of the companies in our coalition. So does Sky use every media channel possible to go and make people aware and do influencer campaigns and marketing campaigns and really fun things and contests and ads? Yes. But I still haven't seen anyone actually crack it, and I haven't actually seen the appetite from the social media companies to put in the huge amount of dedication, time, relationships, investment to really compete in premium.
How many of you here are using TikTok? One person? 2, 3?
A few.
4, okay.
Not me.
I was going to say, how old are you? Because according to the statistics, under 35.
No. And I do not want my kids on it because I took a look and it's the polar opposite of the kind of services that we have that are curated, protected, regulated, so that's my personal point of view, though.
We are out of time, but we spoke about so many things that please grab Daniel later.
Thank you very much.
Espera, Daniel. If you want to do co-productions, he has Sky Studios. If you want the technology behind the Sky Glass, he has this fantastic smart TV. If you want to be part of the VOD Coalition, he's the president of the VOD Coalition. If you want to know more about political challenges in Europe, speak to him. So, as I said, he has not 2 hats, 75 different hats. Daniel, you have...
Just not TikTok.
Not TikTok, it's the only one he doesn't want to put. So please, welcome to say thank you to him and grab him at the break now.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Very
It was
much.
fantastic talking to you.
Thank you.